Yesterday, I made a video talking about Caitlin Clark and her Time Magazine article. She was named 2024 Athlete of the Year. That was a no-brainer. No other athlete's been anywhere close to as talked about or important to their sport as what she's done. And yesterday, I gave my take on the article, the things she said in the article, and basically, how I felt about them. And I just want to give a disclaimer right off the bat. I'm not here to backtrack anything. I don't take back anything I said at all. I'm here to talk about the rest of the world's reaction, or the rest of the sporting world's reaction to Caitlin Clark's comments in this Time magazine article. And I will compare and contrast it some to mine, but I'm also not here to tell anybody they're wrong. I just want to kind of give my reasoning, compare it to their reasoning. And like I said, I respect everybody. I respect people's opinions on this for sure because I see where they're coming from. I get it. As I said in my video yesterday, I really don't agree with a lot of what she said, but I feel like I understand why she said it. I feel like, she was having to basically defend the WNBA because, like I said, they're not in a good spot. The WNBA is not in a good place, even with her, even with Caitlin Clark and the Caitlin Clark effect and everything she's brought to that league, which is more than anybody's brought to that league in almost 3 decades of its existence. In one year, she did more than what's been done in its entire existence over 27 years, other than the NBA paying out about $10 million a year just to keep it afloat, to keep it from going under. It's not in a good place, and I just felt like I felt like she was basically having to tap dance around a minefield, just having to navigate a minefield. I compared what she's having to do to disarming a nuclear bomb, because, like I said, the American public, because let's face it, there's no real overseas demand for the WNBA. There's hardly any American demand for the WNBA. And that's a big reason why I feel like keeping her off the Olympic team was stupid. That was a good chance for them to go to Europe, to Paris this year, kind of like the Dream Team went to Europe and Barcelona in 1992 and planted the seeds for overseas growth. It's a smart business decision. Even if they were just bringing her there for popularity, to show people, basically show her off to people, which to me would not have been the case. I think she's walked into the league as one of the 12 best. I think she showed that in her first month of play before they made the selection. But like I said, that's neither here nor there. Now they left her off the team, and they went over there and nobody cared. That's all there is to it. But she made some comments, and the people are not taking them well at all. And I get that. Like I said, I'm not here to condemn anybody. She made the one that's killing people, and look, and again, like I said, I understand. I'm not walking back. I understand why she said it, but I understand why people are pissed off about it too. It was the white privilege thing. To me, I thought she gave a nice kind of like throwaway answer to that. She started by saying, "I've earned everything I've gotten," which is 100% the truth. She then said, as a white person, there is privilege. Now, and again, this is coming from me. To me, there's not much that boils my blood worse than this idea of white privilege. This idea that anything we get is because we're white and that we have some kind of unfair advantage. I want somebody to walk up to either of my parents, my mother or my father, and I want them to listen to their story. They're both born in the 50s, early to mid 50s. Dad in 53, mom in 55. And I want you to listen to their stories of how they got from where they grew up to where they are now, at the age of 69 and 71 respectively. Mom will turn 70 in April. Dad will turn 72 in April. And I want you to listen to them, and then I want you to look them in the eyes and tell them they got to where they got to because of white privilege. I dare you. It's complete bullshit. The whole idea is garbage, and it's very, very disrespectful to those of us that are white that have earned our ways to where we're at. I dare somebody listen to my story about how I've got a modular home, a double wide modular home on 0.93 acres of a land, or 0.91 acres of a land, that I bought. I bought that. I bought the house, paid for the construction, paid for the clearing of the trees. That was all part of the package. I'm paying my mortgage every month. And, again, I dare somebody to tell me that was because of white privilege. white privilege is an idea that needs to go away and go away quick. And people are very, very pissed off that she did not just flat out come out and say no, white privilege is bullshit. It would have been nice to hear. I admit it again. Like I said, I see where you're coming from. I mean, I would love to hear somebody say that. I would love to hear a public figure say that because I agree with it. And like I said, she is getting destroyed for that. They see it as her bending the knee and kissing the ring by just saying that there is privilege, which, like I said, is complete bullshit. But like I said, she's really getting it for saying that, and I get it. Like I said, to me, she plays in the WNBA, and that league needs. They're just so far off the mark. They're still living in the woke era. To them, it's still 2020. I think the fact that Black Lives Matter is not on the court anymore, even though that organization has been debunked, as nothing as an organization that doesn't even help any black people unless they happen to be trans. Nothing against trans people, but they're an organization that praise themselves as supporting causes for African Americans, and they're giving it away to transgender people instead. It's deceptive, and I do not like deceptive business at all, no matter who's benefiting or being scammed out of it. Candace Owens did a wonderful documentary on it, and at the end she went to the mansion in the very, very lily white suburb that the Black Lives Matter CEO was living at. Tried to get an interview from her, couldn't get her. There's a dog barking inside of her gate, and Candace looked in there and saw the dog and famously quipped, "The dog's not even black." So they've been debunked, but they're living there. The WNBA, they're still living in that time period, and to them, white privilege is everything. Everything hinges on you have to acknowledge white privilege. And I just saw that as her basically throwing them a little bone, saying, "Okay, here it is. I'm saying it now. For the love of God, can we just move forward with this league?" Which, I mean, of course, the answer is going to be no. We all know the answer is going to be no. It's not going to be enough. She's not gotten down on her hands and knees and begged for forgiveness for stuff that people that look like her, that she may or may not have any relation to, did to people that look like what most of the people in the league look like, that may or may not be related to them, did 160 years ago. It's never going to be enough. So I get it, and people are pissed off at her for that. It's a very transitional time for America right now, and it's a good thing. I think it's good that to me, we're transitioning in the correct direction. I just not realized the irony is talking about transitioning in an era where we're kind of getting away from encouraging children to transition. So this is the good kind of transitioning. Like I said, if you're an adult and you want to transition, God bless you. I hope it goes well, and I hope it's everything you dreamed of. Unfortunately, statistics show it's probably not going to be, and that's just me bringing up statistics. I care. If I didn't care, I'd say go ahead and do it and not care. Doing it, trying to get children to do it, though, is just diabolical and evil. That's all there is to it. But that's an aside. Like I said, as Americans, we are transitioning to a time where we're done with it. We're absolutely done with this woke bullshit, this woke nonsense. Because it's never enough, and that's the problem. When it's never enough, you finally just say screw it. And a lot of people have been saying screw it, and it kind of finally just blew up with the election. That landslide there. That gosh, the Republicans won the popular vote. Good Lord. With a very, very non-woke candidate in Donald Trump. Say what you want about him. I mean, I'm just telling you the facts. He's very, very non-woke. Kamala ran a very woke campaign and got destroyed. That's where we're at as America right now. We're sick of it, and unfortunately, the timing for Caitlyn's interview could not have been any worse. But she is between a rock and a hard place, as I said. But the problem is you only play with fire for so long. Like I said she's basically having to navigate a minefield. Well, eventually, she's apparently stepped on one of those landmines, and it's blown up on her. Again, like I said, I compared it to her disarming a nuclear bomb. Well, the bomb blew up in her face. Like I said, you can only mess with these things for so long. And to me, that shows more of a failure of the WNBA, because they put her in this position. She's tried to stay low, which to me was the right thing, because there's just no right answer for her. And like I said, I understand people's anger towards her for saying that. I guess here's the way I see it. She could have given the interview we all want her to hear, which is to say they're all jealous of me, they're targeting me, they're beating me up, they're mad at me because I'm popular, and I also happen to be white and straight. Um, you know, I don't do any activism. I've not taken part in any activism, at least publicly, that anybody knows about. I don't know if she has behind the scenes or not. I'm just a normal person. I want to go to Taylor Swift concerts and all these other people I've never heard of because I'm old, and just want to do the things a 22-year-old girl does in this world. And these people are just wanting to knock me over, literally knock me over, knock me down, knock my name down, and tell me that I'm the problem with America. And she could have given a very explosive interview just running down the league, and we would have loved it. And I get that. We would have loved it. That's the interview we all wanted to hear. But I do want to give some grace to Caitlin Clark in this one because, we love it, but then we either, turn to another internet story to read or put our phones down to grab a snack or a drink or put the magazine down and start reading another story, and we'd be done with it, but she'd still have to live with what she said. She's, like I said, she's a member of the WNBA. Even though she's basically driving the ship right now, she still has to make sure the WNBA, she has to protect their brand. I said yesterday in my video that she was being very, very protective of the WNBA, and I stand by that. I mean, like I said, I don't think she believes any of that. I darn sure don't think she believes she deserved to be left off the Olympic team. And quite honestly, if I was her, if the same people were still running the women's U.S. national team in 2028, I'd say screw you. I don't want to be a part of your team. What's a gold medal? I mean, good Lord. So, I mean, the Olympics have been devalued so much, but that's another story for another day. To try to be like the other eight Olympics in a row, the women's teams that have won and nobody cared about. So, it's just, and that's, to me, this is where the WNBA needs to step up. This is where the adults in the room need to step up. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, who's funding this whole, because the NBA is funding this whole thing. They need to stand up and support her. They need to stand up and have her back, so she doesn't have to do these stupid interviews and put herself in these spots where she, basically has to try to give diplomatic answers that makes exactly nobody happy. This is where they need to stand up and say, okay, look, we've made a lot of errors. We need to, understand where America's coming from. We need to have actual conversations. We've been hearing that for so long. We need to have conversations. We need to have conversations about race. We need to have conversations. Well, I don't know what the Webster's definition of a conversation is, but it's their idea of these people's idea of a conversation is you sitting there and listening to them go off. That's all there is to it. They don't want to actually hear your story. They just want you to sit there and listen to their story and say, yeah, I'm wrong. I'm sorry for existing. I'm sorry for being born with this skin color. And yes, I know we did that to them a long time ago, and it was wrong. And it makes my skin crawl to think we did that. But is the answer to turn it around and do the same thing? No. You have to leave it behind. And I know they'll say, well, that's easy for you to say, you're white. Well, I wasn't there, and neither were you. So, kiss my ass. I'm just going to say that. So, it's time for the adults to stand up and say, we're past it. As a country, we're past it. As a people, we are past it. We're well past that. And it's time to move forward. It's time to get behind Caitlin. And it's time to get behind these new fans, because this is what's going to make this league happen. All these people that are rejecting the new fans, you're going to be forgotten. As soon as nobody's going to remember you. None of these activists, they're not going to remember you, because as soon as you're done and don't have a platform anymore, there's going to be a new thing to become an activist about. And you're not going to have your platform to do that, and you're going to be forgotten about. With Caitlin Clark, you have a chance to be remembered. Diana Taurasi, reality's coming. Well, guess what? The reality is you've probably been the GOAT of the WNBA era of professional women's basketball. Nobody cares. This whole is she going to retire, is she not going to retire, that captivates any other sport when the GOAT talks about it. Nobody cares. If you just walked away, stopped playing next year, nobody would pay attention. Nobody would notice. I'm just being honest about that. You look at some of the other greats. You know, this is your chance to be remembered. Cheryl Swoops, just cannot stop talking shit about Caitlin Clark. Nobody's gonna. It's because of her you've been talked about. Nobody remembers you. That was almost 30 years ago. I remember hearing her talk when she talked the first round of shit about her early this year, and that was the first time I heard that name in forever. I'm like, who is? I remember that name. That kind of sounds familiar, and you know. So instead of being thankful to Caitlin Clark about it, she just wants to knock her. So now, instead of being, four-time WNBA champion, NCAA champion Cheryl Swoops, you just Caitlin Clark haters Cheryl Swoops. So that's what you've done to yourself. So that's where the league needs to step up because, like I said, they put Caitlin in a really bad place, and people are mad. And again, I want to acknowledge that a lot of people do not share my view on her comments. They're mad at her, and I understand that. I'm not here to knock you. You have every right to feel that way. And again, I see where you're coming from. I get it. I think, I guess you could say, she's in the It's like they say, when you try to please everyone, you wind up pleasing nobody. And that's kind of where she's at right now, because the WNBA players and activists are not happy because she did not completely just bend over and grovel and all that, and only gave a little, well, white there is privilege. Then they're gonna say, oh, that's not nearly enough. And the rest of us were pissed off that she didn't say, no, this is garbage. This idea of white privilege is trash, and it's not even close. Privilege comes from money. Who has money? It's not all white people, believe it or not. A lot of us did not grow up with a lot of money and had to earn the money that we do have. That includes my parents, who both grew up dirt ass poor. And yes, they are very much white like me. I am definitely their child. You can tell by my skin color. They provided me a much better childhood than the ones they had. But we still, even though I was a lot better off than they were. We never had the latest or greatest. They didn't own their own home until they were in their mid 40s. And I was able to get mine, a lot earlier in life. And again, I had an advantage of watching what it's like. See, that's where my privilege came from. Am I privileged because I'm white? No, I'm privileged because I had two parents that worked their asses off to just crawl and dig over the course of decades out of poverty and into the middle class, the lower middle class, but I mean the middle class, which is very difficult to do. And I saw what hard work does and, what properly managing money does. And that's where my privilege comes from. That can come to anybody in any color. That doesn't matter. So that's where Caitlin's at, trying to please everyone, you please no one. So I almost feel like she has to kind of pick a side and say something, or she's still in a no-win situation. Like I said, I still say, that's an interview she had to give, other than just going completely media silent, which I guess might not be the worst thing in the world, because given the situation she's in, it's a shame she's been put in that situation where where people are pissed off no matter what she does. She's going to piss off the people she has to work with and deal with daily, or she's going to piss off the people that are, ultimately going to, respect this league that she loves so much. That's another thing you have to realize. Caitlin Clark loves the WNBA. Why? I don't know. And I get that. I get why people are saying, well, why does she love this league that clearly does not love her back or even come close to loving her back? And I get that. But, at the end of the day, something has to give. And, I hope it's not Caitlin. Because unfortunately, she's been put in the middle of all of this. And, like I said, people are understandably mad at her. Like I said, I feel like I have a little understanding. I'm at least trying to have some understanding towards that and why she, said the things she just said. But, at the end of the day, it's time for somebody to step up. Enough's enough. 27 years, no profit. You finally have somebody that can lead this league somewhere. That can lead the WNBA somewhere where it's not been, and you're not doing it. You're screwing it up. You're screwing yourselves, and you're just basically defying human decency. So, like I said to everybody who's very mad at Caitlin Clark right now, I get it. I'm not knocking you. I shake your hand. To me, we need to turn our anger where it needs to go, which is to the WNBA. And like I said, the adults in the room, and even the NBA. Adam Silver, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. We need to turn our collective anger towards them, which to me is where it belongs. That's my take on that. Like I said, if you disagree, that's fine. I agree. I don't agree, but I understand. I'm not going to sit here and knock you and tell you you're wrong. Which again is something which is the WNBA in a nutshell. They're not willing to do that. You either believe like them or you're wrong. You're bad. And even if you do believe like them, you're still wrong and bad because you're not emphatic enough about it. So it's trash. It's just all trash. And like I said, I hope that these people knocking Caitlin Clark will turn that to the WNBA and all their gatekeepers who want to talk about skipping steps and has to earn her dues and all that. Well, she's done more for that league than anybody's done in 27 years. Like I said, other than the NBA paying for them to stay afloat while producing nothing. So that is my take on that. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll have a little bit of a nicer video with less anger next time. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'll talk to you later.